Hi everyone, welcome to the ElectricmotorGP show. My name is Nino and I'm your usual host. And thank you everyone who's been supporting the channel so far. If you want to continue to support the channel, please support us on Patreon. The link will be in the description below. And let's get to it. Today's episode is definitely going to be about the Zeekr 7X. The Zeekr 7X was launched last week Wednesday in Sydney. And this is a car that so many people, and that includes me, have commented about, have tried their best to keep you in the loop about. And if you are already listening to me, is that a lot of people have been waiting for this particular car to come to market for about 9 to 10 months now. Why have we been waiting for this specific car? Not that there are not enough other cars available. This specific car comes in with a lot of things as standard, but the thing that got the whole world's attention to it was sometimes everyone else to China did a charging test on the car itself and found it to be probably the fastest car charging production car at that specific moment. Now, to be fair, since when that video dropped, BYD did launch the BYD Tang, which is capable of doing 10C charging, and the Zeekr 7 is capable of 5% charging, which I'll explain as we go along. But it was the first time that we came across a car that was able to do so much more on the friendly level, and it was being mass produced. Now, the other thing that people were eagerly waiting for this car for was what the pricing was going to be. So what I'm going to run you through on this particular episode is to tell you why the Zeekr 7X is so important, what its competitors in the market look like, what the specs are, what you get for your money, and the slight fudge that Zeekr has done to get you to where they need to be. Now, there's a lot of videos online about what this launch means, how this launch is important, and what this means for the general public. And there are lots of people coming out with comments about why you should and should not go for this car. What I'm going to try to do in this particular video is context, tell you why I think this car is probably one of the most common cars to come out in 2025. And if you remember my list from earlier in this year when I was in the 5 cars that I shortlisted to definitely want to have for myself, the Zeekr 7X on that list. So why Zeekr 7X? Let's start with the charger, which I hinted at earlier. The Zeekr 7X is capable of charging from a Golden Bridge base level at 475 volts. Now, for those of us in Australia, we know well 475 kilowatt hour our charger in Australia, so there is still a and I will explain that to you. If you watch the future proofing video that I did earlier, if your car is capable of doing faster charging, then when the new faster chargers become available, your car is going to be future proof and your car is going to be able to deliver that experience for you. That said, even though there's no 470 or 500 kilowatt hour chargers in Australia, you do have a situation that if you go to a 350 kilowatt hour charger, your charging peak is likely to be flat, which means when you plug in your car will get to that 350 mark and hold the 350 mark for longer because your car is designed to actually hold higher voltages. And this is really important when you understand the competition and the reason why, for example, I did not go for the Sea Lion 7. And there people don't tell you it doesn't matter because there's no charges there, so there's no. I've tested a 400 volt architecture on a 180 kilowatt hour charger, which was supposed to be holding up to 170 kilowatts, but because he couldn't do that, it was only holding 90 to 110. Whereas the 350 volt charger car that was beside me was able to hold a whole 180 without any problems. So your charging is going to be better. Now I'll put this into context for you. On a 450 volt or 500 volt charger, the Zeekr 7X will charge 10 to 80% in 10 minutes. On a 350 volt charger, as we have in Australia, they'll do it in 13 for the 75 kilowatt hour battery. For the longer, or rather bigger battery, it'll do it in 16. So for the 100 kilowatt hour battery, which is the NCM battery, which is not able to do 475 but can actually do 450, you'll do it in 16 minutes on a 350 volt charger. So that's really important, and it gives you context as to why, irrespective of all the conversations that you've been having online in the forums and people trying to make you feel like, well, it makes no sense you getting this car. This car has its advantages to that level. That's the first thing. The second thing is what the car comes with. So all the trim levels of this car comes as 800 volt architecture. Now I'm going to tell you that there's only one other company that's able to do this, and that's the Xpeng. So all versions of the Xpeng come in, except the Mona, which we don't have in Australia, comes in with the 800 volt architecture. The 800 volt architecture links to the charging speed. So which is one of the reasons why when you hear people saying, oh, by the way, 400 volts versus 800 volts, they don't know the difference. The major difference is your charging curve. The 800 volt architecture is able to deliver higher energy levels and sustain the higher energy levels when you're charging the car. But this is not a technical video. This is a video about the launch of the Zeekr 7X. Now, the Zeekr 7X comes in 3 trims. But before I go to the 3 trims, I'm going to say why I said the Zeekr got the pricing right, but there's a fudge. Now, the fudge will make you understand why it's a bit iffy, but not as iffy as you might think. So there are 3 trim levels. The base model, which is the one with the 75 kilowatt hour battery, it's the base model with the lower price. It's also the one with a sweet spot that a lot of people are going to be interested in because of the price point that Zeekr put this car. And I'll put it into context for you. The benchmark in the D segment of cars is the Tesla Model Y. There's no competition in there. 3 consecutive years, best EV in the world. 3 consecutive years, arguably the best selling car in the world. Arguably. Last year, I think it was 10 or 20,000 units lower than the Toyota RAV4. But arguably. Now, if we're going to then say that is the benchmark in this segment, you've got to understand that everybody who's coming into this segment is trying to compete against the Tesla Model Y. Now, the difference between the Tesla Model Y and the Zeekr 7X is the fact that the Tesla Model Y, even though it's gone slightly upmarket, it's not as luxurious as the Zeekr 7X. And I'll come back to that. Now, so the base model of the Zeekr 7X comes in with a price point of $57,900 before on-road costs. The middle segment comes in at $63,900 before on-road costs, which is an additional $6,000. And then finally, the performance all-wheel drive version comes in at $72,900 before on-road costs. I said there was a fudge, and I'm going to explain that fudge to you and who Zeekr is copying to get that fudge. Now, in Australia, every single car you buy, to a certain extent, will have something called a delivery charge. Now, the delivery charge could be something as nominal as $200 to $300, all the way up to Tesla, which does $1,800. So every time you buy a Tesla, whatever the pricing says on the tin, you've still got to pay $1,800 on top of that for what Tesla will call a delivery charge. So Zeekr has done the Tesla-esque thing. Well, it is the benchmark in the segment. They've now added their delivery charge to theirs. And their delivery charge then means that the car actually costs a lot more than you would think. So I'll put it into context in the context of what the other competitors in this segment are. So the Xpeng G6 base model comes in at 55,000 before on-road costs. By the time you add on-road costs plus delivery charges and everything, it comes shy of about $58,000, $59,000. The Sea Lion 7 comes in at 54,900 before on-road costs, and by the time you add on-road costs and everything else to it, it comes in at about roughly 58,400. Even though this comes in at 57,900, because of the additional $2,700 delivery charge, when you're going to get the on-road, in most states, you'll be getting about $64,000. So it's important for you to understand that context. And I will do that when I'm doing the comparison video, which I'm going to do as an attachment, as a follow-up to this particular video, when I do the comparisons of what the alternatives in this particular segment are. Now, what do you get in the base model? The base model gets a 13-inch driver instrument cluster. It's got your double wishbone front suspension and a 5-link suspension on the rear. It does not come with air suspension for the base model. It also does not come with active dampening on the base model. And it also does not come with the heads-up display. So those are the things that make a significant difference about what you don't get on the base model. Now, the final thing you don't get on the base model is you don't get the intelligent door system. Now, the intelligent door system is a little thing on this on the B panel. You press, it opens the car doors for you, and it's got more sensors on the car, which means that when it actively electronically opens for you, if there's anything in front of the door, it will stop. It won't hit whatever's in front of the door. But it still has the 90-degree open on the rear door, which means you've got a lot of access into the car, which makes egress and entrance into the car easy for you. And it's one of those things that when I looked at, I thought these people have put a lot of thought process into trying to make sure that this car is comfortable. The last thing that it doesn't get is it doesn't get the Napa leather, which is not available on the base trim. It gets PU leather. But what does it come with? So I've taken the time to explain the things that it does not have. What does it come with? It comes with 800 volt architecture. It comes with a 75 kilowatt hour LFP battery. It comes with AC, 22 kilowatt charging. This is significant. This is very important. And it comes with a max charging of 475 if you can find it. But if you cannot find it for the whole of Australia, you're most likely going to only be able to get 360. What is the acceleration? 0 to 100 in 6 seconds. 100 Ks, not that's 62 miles. And on top of that, more importantly, you got a 310 kilowatt electric motor on the rear. Now, I don't know why this is, and this might be them trying to find the right balance in the performance of the car. It only produces 440 Newton meters of torque. Why is this important? One of the competitors in this particular segment is the X-Plane G6, and the X-Plane G6 has a 210 kilowatt on the middle spec car, 190 kilowatt on the standard spec, but it also achieves 440 Newton meters of torque. Boot space, 539. It's not class leading, but it's very, very decent. In addition to that, you also get a 62 liter frunk, and all specs have the same size, which is 4.78 meters long, 1.93 meters wide, 1.65 meters tall, and a wheelbase of 2.9 meters. Now, the wheelbase of 2.9 meters is probably the reason why the boot space is not as big as some of the other cars in this segment. However, the interior space, because you've got the larger wheelbase, means that you've got more legroom and more comfort in the car. Now, I've got to reiterate this. The Zeekr 7X comes in and is predominantly described as a luxurious car with a lot of emphasis on the interior comfort of the car. Okay, we're on the same page? Good. Now we're going to go to the sweet spot of this car. The sweet spot of this car is the middle range. That is the Zeekr 7X long range. Why is this car the sweet spot? It is the sweet spot specifically because you now get 100 kilowatt hour NMC battery in this specific segment. Now, why is this important as well? This car also has heads-up display. The range on this has gone from 480 on the standard spec to 615 kilowatts WLTP on the long range model. So for those of you that are worried about range anxiety, not being able to go as much as you'd like to go on a single charge, the fact that you can do 600 kilometers on a single charge means that range anxiety is almost to a large extent nullified, especially if you're traveling. Okay, why is it also this sweet spot? You get Napa leather in the long range model. You get heads-up display in the long-range model. You don't, however, get air suspension in the long-range model, and that's probably the reason why there's a difference between the pricing of the long-range model and the performance version of the car. Boot space, size, they're all the same. The electric motor on the long range model is the same as the electric motor on the standard model, so which is 310 kilowatts, 0 to 106 seconds, and 440 Newton meters of torque, but you get 615 kilometers of range. Are we on the same page? Good. Now let's move on. Now, if you're enjoying everything I'm saying so far, please like, subscribe, and share. If you've got any comments on anything I've said so far, please put it down in the comment section. I'd be more than happy to answer your questions. So from there, we move to the performance model. Now, the performance model gains an extra 60 kilowatts, 160 kilowatt electric motor on the front. It also gains air suspension, and therefore you get a smoother ride. And in addition to that, it also get active dampeners on the model as well. Why is the air suspension important? The air suspension gives you ability to change the ride height, which is 172 millimeter clearance in both the standard and the long range versions, to this one, which gives you a 232 millimeter ground clearance. Why is this important? In China, I've not tested this, but I've seen videos of this. I've seen quite a few videos of people testing the car, and I think there were a few Australians who got the opportunity to test the car when they went to China with Zeekr. And they were able to go off-road with this car, and the car was actually very competent off-road. So all of a sudden, you've got a car that, yes, potentially could go off-road based on the long-range model, but given the fact that you've got air suspension on the all-wheel drive, which then means the drive balance and all the other stuff that you want to appreciate in the car comes in as standard in the four-wheel all-wheel drive version of this car. What that also means is that this car now goes from 310 kilowatts in terms of the power output of the car to 475. That also means that the acceleration of the car shrinks significantly. So you go from 0 to 106 seconds to 0 to 100 in 3.8 seconds. So this car all of a sudden becomes a performance car as well. But it's now a performance car, which is very, very luxurious on the interior and very, very comfortable to drive. And I think that's one of the reasons why specific people would want to prioritize the all-wheel drive version, because the increased capability of the car. But it comes at a cost. So it now comes in at 72,900 before on-road costs, plus an additional delivery charge of 2,700. Now, all models of the car, if you're one of the people that pre-order, and it's the first 1,000 people that pre-order that will get this, you get the standard 5-year unlimited road kilometer warranty plus an additional 2 years warranty, which then takes the warranty from 5 years to 7. I think this is significant because you know that the standard warranty on the Tesla Model Y is 4 years and 80,000 kilometers, which is one of the reasons why I don't get why people go crazy saying they want to buy the Tesla Model Y sometimes. Now I'm going to go to tell you some other functions in the car that I think are really important. The intelligent door I mentioned earlier on is one of the things that you get in the car, which I think is really good. You also get a significant electric motor on the rear, which means you can electrically recline the car seats back and forwards, which is very comfortable. Electronic tailgates, which comes as standard. You've got your 360 cameras as standard on all the versions of the car. All trim levels get that. And when you put all of this in together, this then gives you a very, very compelling product at this price point. So if you remember at the beginning of the video, I said Zeekr got the pricing right. Why am I taking the emphasis on Zeekr getting the pricing right? I think they didn't get the pricing right on the Zeekr X at launch, which is probably one of the reasons why I'm not getting a lot of love from Zeekr when it comes to invites and stuff. But I was honest. And the reason why I was honest was the Zeekr X at launch was coming in at $72,000 drive away for the Zeekr X. At that price, I already knew the Sea Lion 7 was coming in at drive away 70,000. So why would I buy the Zeekr X at 72,900 drive away when I could get the Sea Lion 7 for 70,000 drive away? It didn't really make much sense. But at this particular point, yes, it does. And the reason why I say yes, it does is simple. The base model of the Sea Lion 7 driver weighs 58,000. It's $5,000 less expensive than the base model of the Zeekr 7X. But you get 800 volt architecture, you get faster charging on the car, you get a few things as very luxurious in there. But the Sea Lion 7 comes with heads-up display, so it's a trade-off. You've got to find the right balance in there somewhere. But I would always trade off the faster charging. That's my personal preference. But when you get to the top spec all-wheel drive version of it, there are only 2 or 3 cars that can compete. And when I do the video that I promise I'll do, which is the breakdown of the alternatives in this segment at each trim level, you'll understand my point. Which cars can compete? The Zeekr 7X has got the Tesla Model Y, the Sea Lion 7, and the IM6 as the only cars that can compete at the top end of the level. And if you go by my future-proofing preference, which is if it's not 800 volt architecture, I'm not interested, then you're down to just the IM6. Because unfortunately, at this particular point in time, the Xpeng G6 does not have its all-wheel drive performance model in Australia. So therefore, the only other car that could compete will be the IM6. I've automatically knocked out both the Sea Lion 7 and the Tesla Model Y because they're 400 volt architecture. So you get my point. Now, is this a car that I will recommend? Hand on heart, yes. Hand on heart, yes. Charging, check. AC charging, check, check, check. Why have I come back to AC charging? And that's why I'm going to end this video on. If you buy a 22 kilowatt, so if you've got access to a three-phase in your home, if you buy a 22 kilowatt of AC charging, it means at home for the base model, you can charge it in 3 to 4 hours, 3.5 hours. For the 100 kilowatt hour battery, you'll charge it in 5. Put it into context. You get home from work, 8 p.m., 9 p.m., whatever the time is. You plug into the AC outlet. You tell it, wait for when the tariff is going to be lowest. Tariff is lowest at 11 p.m. 11 p.m. to 4 a.m., your car is fully charged in the morning by the time you get into work. And because it's AC charging, it's not a rapid charger, it doesn't degrade the battery. So the 22 kilowatt is a fantastic option. And I can tell you this, none of the other cars in the segment has this. And I mean none. Tesla Model Y, I think it's been upgraded to 11. Sea Lion 7, 11 kilowatts. Xpeng G6, 11 kilowatts. IM6, 11 kilowatts. The Geely X5, I think that's 7. Leapmotor C10, I think that's 11 as well. But you get my point. It's the only 22 kilowatt hour AC charging in this segment. So, yes. So if you found all the information I've given to you as useful, helpful, please like, share, and subscribe. Please help us continue to grow the channel. We will be eligible for membership very soon on the channel as well. So if you want to be a member, once we become eligible, we will put details of how you become a member available on the channel as well. So until I see you on the next one, stay blessed.